Iran has launched more than 100 drones and missiles to attack Israel that are set to hit within hours after Israel announced it was closing all schools amid fears of an upcoming attack from the rogue state. Iran launched drones, cruise missiles and ballistic missiles towards Israeli targets in response to a drone strike at the beginning of April in Syria that left 12 Iranians, including 2 top generals, dead. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, said via state media. The aerospace unit of the Revolutionary Guards has attacked targets in Israel with dozens of drones and missiles in reaction to the Zionist regime's crimes, including the attack on the consulate section of Iran's embassy in Damascus, and martyring our commanders and military advisors in Syria. Iran army said the drones will reach the occupied territories soon, having flown for nearly an hour. Iranian media reported that Tehran has also launched its first round of ballistic missiles towards Israel, which have an even shorter flight time than the cruise missiles. A third wave of drones has now been launched at Israel. Yemen-based Houthis have also claimed to have shot dozens of rockets towards an IDF base in the northeast of Israel. It is not currently known if the Houthi attacks are linked to Iran's salvo. The UK, among Israel's closest allies, and other nations have reportedly begun to support Israel by sending fighter jets to shoot down the drones and missiles. U.S. officials added that their military also intercepted drones and missiles heading to Israel. The IDF spokesperson, Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, said it would take several hours for the drones to arrive in Israel, adding that sirens would be sounded in threatened areas. He said that the Iranian attack was a severe and dangerous escalation in tensions, adding, "Our defensive and offensive capabilities are at the highest level of readiness ahead of this large-scale attack from Iran." The IDF said, "The air defense array is on high alert at the same time as the Air Force planes and Navy ships that are on a mission to protect the country's skies. The IDF is monitoring all targets. We ask the public to adhere to and follow the instructions of the Home Front Command and the official IDF announcements regarding the matter." Israel's allies have begun to send in military assets in to help Israel. U.S. congressional sources say the amphibious warship Baton is leading a U.S. naval task force in the eastern Mediterranean. The Baton has 2 support ships, and together they have about 2,500 Marines on board. The U.S. also has several guided missile destroyers, including the Carney in the area. U.S. bases in Iraq have been placed on full alert and will also attempt to shoot down missiles and drones aimed at Israel. In addition, the U.S. has 2 destroyers and a cruiser in the Red Sea that are fully armed with anti-missile weapons, and they too are under orders to shoot down any Israeli-bound missiles or drones. But Iran has threatened the U.S. if it gets involved in the spat, claiming that it is a conflict between Iran and Israel alone. Iran's mission to the UN wrote on X, conducted on the strength of Article 51 of the UN Charter pertaining to legitimate defense. Iran's military action was in response to the Zionist regime's aggression against our diplomatic premises in Damascus. The matter can be deemed concluded. However, should the Israeli regime make another mistake, Iran's response will be considerably more severe. It is a conflict between Iran and the rogue Israeli regime, from which the U.S. must stay away. Surrounding countries appear to have begun preparations for an escalation in hostilities. Jordan, Israel's eastern neighbor, temporarily closed its airspace to all incoming, departing and internal flights. Its government reported that it had ordered its armed forces to shoot down any drones that flew through its airspace. Syria is also on high alert, setting up its ground-to-air defense systems around the capital Damascus and major bases in the event of an Israeli strike, army sources said. Sources told Reuters they expected Israel would retaliate against army bases and installations where pro-Iranian militia were based, after Iran's elite Revolutionary Guards said they launched dozens of drones and missiles against specific targets in Israel. Lebanon, which lies to Israel's north, is also closing its airspace at 1 a.m. local time. Qatar and Kuwait have both issued directives against the U.S., prohibiting the use of their airspace for any potential military action against Iran. U.S. military aircraft are stationed at the Ali Al Salem Air Base and the Ahmed Al Jaber Air Base in Kuwait, as well as the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the largest U.S. airbase in the Middle East. The rest of the world has begun to react to Iran's strikes. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said in a statement, "I condemn in the strongest terms the Iranian regime's reckless attack against Israel. These strikes risk inflaming tensions and destabilizing the region. Iran has once again demonstrated that it is intent on sowing chaos in its own backyard. The UK will continue to stand up for Israel's security and that of all our regional partners, including Jordan and Iraq. Alongside our allies, we are urgently working to stabilize the situation and prevent further escalation. No one wants to see more bloodshed. The UK's Foreign Secretary Lord David Cameron took to X to say, Iran's reckless attacks on Israel will only further inflame tensions in the Middle East. The UK calls on the Iranian regime to stop this serious escalation, which is in no one's interest. A spokesperson for the US's National Security Council, meanwhile, said, President Biden has been clear. Our support for Israel's security is ironclad. The United States will stand with the people of Israel and support their defense against these threats from Iran. France's Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs, Stéphane Séjourné, said via X, France condemns in the strongest terms the attack launched by Iran against Israel. By deciding on such an unprecedented action, Iran is taking a new step in its destabilizing actions and taking the risk of a military escalation. France reaffirms its attachment to Israel's security and assures it of its solidarity. It was reported today that Iran has more than 100 cruise missiles ready to be launched as part of an imminent strike against Israel, in retaliation for an airstrike against Iran's embassy in Damascus, Syria. Announcing increased security measures in Israel during a televised briefing, Chief Military Spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said dozens of combat planes were airborne as part of the state of readiness. Starting from 11 p.m. tonight, the strict measures, which include the ban of all educational activities across the country, the restriction of working in offices without standard protected spaces, and limits on the number of people at gatherings, will be implemented. Educational activities have been banned across the country, while restrictions on working have been put in place on areas directly next to the Gaza Strip and other areas in the Gaza envelope. Israelis living on the areas next to the Gaza Strip have been banned from meeting outside in groups of more than 30, and are allowed to meet up to 300 people inside buildings. Beaches in the Gaza envelope have also been closed to the public. Hagari said in the televised address that the directive will be reassessed at 6 a.m. local time, and urged Israelis to remain vigilant and to head to bomb shelters if they hear warnings. Since the start of the war, we have faced a variety of threats sent here by Iran's proxies, and adapted our defense and attack systems. Accordingly, Hagari said, adding that the IDF was fully prepared for Iranian attacks. The Air Force's defense and attack formations are on alert and dozens of planes are in the sky. We are conducting a situational assessment with our strategic partners, led by the USA, and we are maintaining close coordination with them, he added. Hagari's televised message came as Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant held a meeting with top-level defense officials, including the IDF's chief Herzi Halevi. Gallant said the IDF was closely monitoring a planned attack by Iran and its proxies against the state of Israel. We have added new capabilities on land, in the air, at sea, in our intelligence directorate, within the state of Israel, and together with our partners, led by the United States.